right, section 2.7 is all about finding inverses. Okay, and there are several steps that we're going to take to find these inverses. Okay, the first step is we're going to replace f of x with y, and then we're going to interchange x and y, meaning wherever there's an x, we're going to write y, wherever there's a y, we're going to write x. Then we're going to solve for y, and then our last step will replace y with f of negative 1 of x. Okay, so this is just our way that we write the inverse. So we would say the inverse of f of x. Okay, so here I say find the inverse of f of x equals 2x plus 7. Okay, your first step is to replace f of x with y. Okay, so number one, we have y equals 2x plus 7. That's the first step. Number two is interchange x and y. So wherever there's a y, we'll put x. Wherever there's an x, we'll put y. So we'll have x equals 2y plus 7. And then we need to solve for y. That's step number 3. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides and get x minus 7 equals 2y. Divide by 2. And we get x minus 7 over 2 equals y. Okay? Don't let it freak you out that it's backwards. We could always write it like this. Our last step, number 4, is to replace y with the inverse symbol of our function. And we're done. This would be our answer. This is the inverse of our original function. Okay, just following those steps. Okay, let's do this one. So now we have a cubed running around. So let's see what that does. First step is to write y equals instead of f of x. Then we're going to interchange x and y. Then we're going to solve for y. So we're going to add 1. Divide by 4. Okay, so now we have a cubed and we need just y. All right, so how we undo our powers is we take the root of that power on both sides. So we're going to take the cubed root. And that was going to happen. The cubed root. Dang it. I'm going to get it here in a second. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to write it not neatly. There we go. That one worked. The cubed root of both sides, that undoes our power that we're taking, right? So we have this left on the left side. The cubed root of x plus 1 over 4 equals y. Our last step is to replace y with our inverse. And so we get the cubed root of x plus 1 over 4. That's our answer. Okay, so the first one, we just had a regular function. Okay, we didn't have any powers or anything like that. And so solving for y was pretty standard, pretty easy. Over here, once we solved for our power, right, we get down to where we have y by itself, but it's with a power. We need to take the root of whatever power we have to get y by itself. All right, let's do this one. Now we have a fraction, okay? So let's replace f of x with y. And then interchange. Okay, so now we need to solve for y. Here's our issue. We have two y's. We have 5y up top and 2y down bottom. Okay, so we have this fraction. Your first step in these is to get rid of your fraction. Okay, you're going to do that by multiplying by 2y plus 1 on both sides. Okay, and when you do that, right, these divide to 1. So you just have 5y minus 3 on this side. And then you're going to distribute this x through. Okay, you can do that in 2 steps. I'm going to do it in 1. So we have 2xy plus x. Okay, so now we don't have a fraction. We still have a y on the right and a y on the left, right? So now you're going to collect y terms on one side. On one side by themselves. So what needs to happen is this needs to come over here and this needs to go over there, okay? So you'll subtract x from both sides and you'll subtract 5y from both sides, okay? So you get 2xy minus 5y equals -3 minus x, okay? So now you have all your y's grouped together, but you still have this x right here. I mean, you have 2x right here, 5 right here. This line, though, has something in common. It has a y in common. So your next step is to factor out a y. Okay, factor out a y. And you're left with 2x minus 5 inside those parentheses. And you're left with the same thing on the other side. Now you can divide by 2x minus 5 on both sides. And when you do that, you're left with y, because these divide to 1, y equals -3 minus x over 2x minus 5. Your last step is to replace that y with the inverse notation. And you're done. Whoops. Okay, that's your answer. So here's what we did. We had a fraction. Okay, we did our first 2 steps normally. We replaced f of x with y, and then we interchanged our x's and our y's. Then you're going to multiply both sides by whatever your denominator is. That gets rid of our fraction. Okay, you're going to distribute your x through and get this line. Now you need to collect your y terms on one side by themselves. So whatever doesn't have a y in it needs to go on the other side, and your y's need to go on the same side. So I moved this 5y over by subtracting 5y from both sides. And I moved this x over to the other side by subtracting x from both sides. And so I got this line. Then I have a y in both of these terms, so I can factor it out. Okay, whatever was left over, 2x minus 5, I divided both sides by that. Okay, these divided to 1, and I was just left with my answer on the other side. And then I replaced y with our inverse notation. Okay, so you kind of have 3 cases. You have a normal case that is not bad at all. You have a root case where you will get to a place where you need to take the root, and then you have a fractional case, which is the most complicated case, where you have to get rid of your fractions, collect your y's, factor it out, and solve. Okay, that is finding your inverses following these 4 steps.